Hello folks, this is Solo speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. This is footage taken from a double-up game with longtime partner JDPL Grillo. And in this game we're going to be looking at a team composition that defies the odds. Never tell me the odds. We're actually going to be looking at an Incantor team composition that plays through Syndra. Now, this would not have been surprising in the release version of Teamfight Tactics Set 12 when Syndra was the most overpowered unit in the entire set. She was so overpowered that she basically ruined the first patch, but that is no longer the case because we are on the first full patch, not the release version. And Syndra was nerfed, predictably, into garbage tier in this patch. But we are going to ignore what the data says in this game, and we're going to be looking to play through Syndra anyway. So we're going to be like one patch behind here, and just see how it goes. Because sometimes, even if something is not statistically strong, you can sometimes be in a good position to play it, and sometimes you're just got to ignore what the numbers say, because it does mean sometimes you can be completely uncontested in playing it as well. Okay, so for the initial portal, we were hoping that we would not get the prismatic first option, but we did get the option, so we know the first portal, we know the first augment is going to be prismatic here in this game. I had an interesting drop on the first minion round. I have a Nico here and also a Hecarim, and we were like, we definitely should try to do something to take advantage of having these units, so I wasn't quite sure just yet. I was initially thinking maybe it's something with Witchcraft because I have the early Nico here, and we wanted to do something with the Hecarim as well. And it turned out that Grillo had also gotten a Hecarim, so we just decided that he would take the Hecarim, and that maybe he would look to play multi-strikers, which is indeed what he would end up doing in this game. He would end up playing a multi-striker-based team composition. Note that I've also gotten an early Syndra here, and as soon as I see the Syndra, I was like, you know, Syndra's really bad in this patch, like really, really, really bad, but I don't know, maybe I can do something with this unit. I do have a tier already, which is something I would need if I'm going to build an item out of Syndra. So I don't know, maybe this is something I can look to do here. I don't know. But where the game really starts to take shape, as it frequently does, is on the first augment here. So look what pops up in the store. Incantor Crown, gain an Incantor emblem, a jeweled gauntlet, and Syndra. Now, this was one of the very best augments in the game in the release version of Set 12. But this is not the release version, as I've said, and it turns out this is the single worst augment in the entire game. I am not exaggerating. This is, in the data, the single worst augment in the entire game. Take all the silver, all the gold, all the prismatic ones. This one is the worst. In the data right now, it is average finish 5.42. Average finish, if nothing is in place, would be 4.5. And this is 5.4. You are almost going one full placement worse on average by taking this as opposed to taking something else. The very best augments tend to have average placement around like 3.8, 3.9. That's honestly kind of overpowered to have something like that. This one is 5.4. So you are really gimping yourself by taking this augment. And I was thinking that at the time. I was like, oh, you know, I think I have a decent spot to look to play this, but do I really want to take this augment? I decided I would anyway. So why did I think this made sense here? Well, I already had one Syndra. This gave me a second Syndra. I already had the potential for a 2-star Zoe here as well. And Zoe actually does make really good use of an Incantor emblem. It's not something that you would typically look to do. But what this will let me do is it'll let me play 4 Incantors because I want to play Syndra together with Cassiopeia. Those units have pretty much always been played together. Back in the release version, they were typically played together, and then oftentimes people would replace the Cassiopeia with Karma in the late game, or you could alternately reroll for Syndra 3-star, Cassiopeia 3-star. But I definitely want to play that because I'm kind of doing a Witchcraft build here anyway. And Cassiopeia is Witchcraft plus Incantor, so that gets me to 3 with the emblem. And then if I put in Karma later on in the game, that would get me to 4 Incantors, which I also want to point out is not very strong. So just to give you more of the numbers here, 4 Incantors is basically never played. I'm sorry if I'm talking so much about the data, but I think it gives useful context for this video. 4 Incantor is played 0.02 out of 8 players. So out of every 8 players in a game, one of those 8 players will play 4 Incantors in 1 out of 50 games. So the average player plays it one time out of every 50 games or something like that. So you just do not see this at all. By the way, I'm going to get a Syndra that is in my store, and then another Syndra comes over from JDP El Grillo. So nobody plays it, and it does terribly when people play it. The average placement for 4 Incantors in this patch is 4.98. Again, 4.5 is average. 4.5 would be perfectly average. 4.98, you're doing, again, like a half of a placement below average. That is god-awful. You should never be playing something that's that bad. But again, I felt like I had the right setup to do it in this game. So I am going to look to try to play the 4 Incantors. And the very fact that Syndra was nerfed into trash tier means that she's not really played by anyone. She was so dominant in the release patch that they had to nerf her to the point of being just a horrible, horrible unit in this patch, because that's what they always do. And honestly, it was warranted. Playing against all those Syndra rerolls was not fun at all in the release version of the game. But that means Syndra's completely uncontested. No one's going to play Syndra. And in fact, the entire Eldritch trait was nerfed really heavily. So nobody plays Eldritch anymore either. And it's not like Witchcraft is too strong in this game either. So I'm going to be playing stuff that's like all entirely uncontested in this lobby. So this is very much going to be the game of can playing something that's completely uncontested from a good position overcome the fact that the data just says it's absolute trash tier. Anyway, this was a great carousel here. We are picking early because Grillo and I, neither one of us is much of a team just yet. Grillo is trying to pick up some Cassidans, but he doesn't really have a Cassidan yet. Again, we're both playing these builds that were like super popular in the previous patch. But I was able to get another Nico, and I was also able to get a sword to make Spear of Shojin on Syndra. Now, the itemization I'm going with Syndra here is a little bit different from what people were doing in the previous patch when Syndra was super strong. People were going Rage Blade. People were going very heavy into Rage Blade in that patch. And the goal was just to get Syndra to stack up her casts as much as possible. If you're unfamiliar with Syndra, again, I'm assuming if you're unfamiliar with Syndra, you probably didn't play the release patch because she was absolutely everywhere. But Syndra's ability is she puts a rift on the field that deals magic damage and is also a magic-resistant shred. And she also scales throughout the game. As she uses more casts, she gains additional abilities. Once she gets up to 15 casts, enemies adjacent to the target are also magic resist shredded and take magic damage. And then when she gets to 30 casts, for every 30 casts, she creates an additional rift on the board. So when Syndra's numbers were like ridiculously overtuned, as you see Zoe barely losing to this bard, when her numbers were ridiculously overtuned, people were just trying to get as many casts off as possible because by getting as many casts off as possible, you would just take advantage of her ridiculously high numbers that were stacked way too high. And it would allow her to, just deal more and more and more damage. Now that her numbers are a bit more reasonable and frankly, honestly, undertuned, she's probably a little too weak, and I believe she's getting buffed in. This video is going to be released right around the time the next patch comes out, so I believe she's getting some minor buffs back in that patch. Now that our numbers are more reasonable and kind of undertuned, it's no longer correct to just get the most possible casts off because that was basically leaning on the fact that her numbers were overtuned. So I am doing a more standard build here. I got the Jeweled Gauntlet for free from my augment, so that I didn't even end up making. But I'm going to look to make the Spear of Shojin, which makes sense because her mana cost is a little bit too high for blue buff. I mean, you can make it, but her mana cost is 60, so it's Shojin is definitely better. And then in addition to that, I'm also going to try to get her then some attack speed, whether that's Gnasher's Tooth or whether that's like, a red buff or something. That's what I'm going to look for that last item. So I think that this doing like kind of a more standard caster build, I think that makes more sense now as opposed to what people were doing in the previous patch where people were just leaning on the fact that she was really overtuned. All right, so overall, not a great stage 2, but I actually think that my board is not that far off from being strong here in this particular setup because I have 2-star Syndra. That was the key unit. I had the 2-star Zoe very early on. I have 2-star, 2-star Elise up there on the front lines for Shapeshifter, and that gets me 2 out of 3 Eldritch. And like I said, if I can just get a little bit more frontline, I think that's my biggest problem. I am on 2 out of 3 Nikos, so if I can find one more Nico, I think my frontline situation will stabilize here. I am a little bit poor on gold, is also a bit unfortunate. I've actually been finding a lot of Syndras, but that means I'm a little bit on the poor side. Still, I don't think that I'm that far off from being reasonably competitive here, even though Syndra is not especially strong in this patch. All right, so I do also have the option to spend 8 gold for a component anvil, but I think that's probably a little bit too pricey. I'm going to hold the belt on my bench because I wouldn't mind making Gnasher's Tooth here for that last item slot on Syndra. It would actually synergize very nicely with the Spear of Shojin, and I believe that her mana cost is low enough that she can have permanent Spear of Shojin uptime, permanent Gnasher's Tooth uptime if I can get a bow. So I'll be looking to do that. I'm going to toss this Neela on the board just to get Eldritch Trait in play. I really don't want to play Neela in this game, but like I said, my biggest weakness right now is frontline, and having Daisy to jump in there via Eldritch 3 is just going to help out in that regard. And yeah, then we'll look to go from there. So like I said, I'm reasonably happy with how things are going thus far. Like I said, I already have 4 Syndras, and Grillo should be able to find a couple more as well. The bigger issue for us in the game right now is Grillo's actually contested on the Kassadins. He's trying to hit Kassadin 3-star. Someone else is actually also going for Kassadin 3-star, which is a big surprise because Kassadin is not popular in this patch. But he's going to be contested, and it actually turns out that he's going to have trouble finding the Kassadins. All right, next option is another prismatic augment, and I was like, I kind of didn't want to see a prismatic here, so I'm looking here, and I was like, I don't think it's Pandora's items. I'll just take the new recruit, and then I get this. There's a Karma in my shop at 2% odds. I was like, oh my god, there's a Karma in my store as well. Holy cow! Because this is the unit that lets me play 4 Incantors. So I can just jump right up to the 4 Incantors here. Excuse me. Which is going to be awesome for my whole overall setup, because that was the whole point of doing this build, is I get the chance to play the 4 Incantors. So if you're unfamiliar with this, again, this was a trait that was really popular in the release version of the release version of set 12. I mentioned earlier in this video, no one is playing this trait right now. You might see it like 1 in every 50 games or something like that. But this is a stacking trait. It stacks AP over the course of the fight. Just to describe it here, overall, the Incantor trait gives your team a flat 10 ability power. When Incantors attack or cast, all Incantors gain stacks of ability power up to 40. Every other attack grants 1 stack. Each ability cast grants 3 stacks. Incantor 2 is 1 AP per stack. Incantor 4 is 2 AP per stack. So it can stack up to 40 times. And if you have Incantor 4 in, that's 2 AP per stack. So that's up to 80 additional ability power if it gets fully stacked up. Now, again, it's tricky to get those stacks, though, because, as I said, each cast is 3 stacks. Every other attack is 1 stack. So getting additional attack speed is quite nice to stack that up. But it does take a while to get the full 40 stacks. Now, it is also easier to get the 40 stacks with having 4 units in as opposed to just 2. So you can stack it up faster with the 4 Incantors. By the way, there comes over a 2-star Syndra from Grillo, who is, of course, rerolling for Kassadin over there. So, again, we're doing these builds that were popular in the first patch, not this one. But I'm on 7 Syndras now, and having Karma this early is just absolutely fantastic. Now, Karma also was nerfed. Karma was really, really strong in the release patch. Consistent theme of this video is we're like 1 patch behind here. Karma was consistently really, really strong in the release patch, but she got nerfed really heavily. A big part of her ability is it originally healed your team when she used her ability. They just flat out took that out. They just completely took that out of the game, the fact that her ability used to heal. And now she is one of the worst performing 4 costs in the game. Syndra is the worst performing 2 cost in the game. Syndra's average placement is 4.93. That is worse than any other 2 costs. There's only 1 unit in the entire game that has worse average placement, which is Jax. As you see me go ahead and grab this bow for Gnasher's Tooth. But Syndra is statistically the 2nd worst unit in the entire game. Out of the 4 cost units, Karma's basically the worst one. I'm just looking at the data here. Yeah, she is statistically the single worst performing 4 cost in the game right now. It's close between her and Gwen, who's also underpowered in this patch, but she is statistically the worst in the worst 4 cost. They have her at 4.58, which might not sound that bad, except that 4 cost should be, you should be increasing your average placement when you're playing 4 costs, because they're kind of highly desired units. But yeah, so she has the performance level of like a 2 cost as a 4 cost, which is definitely not what you want. Anyway, so to make a long story short, I was able to go ahead and grab the bow off the carousel. I made my Gnasher's Tooth, and I was able to go ahead and get 2 components from Grillo there on the gift round. And one of them was a tier, which is great because I really want to make a blue buff on Karma. Karma's mana cost is 30, so if you can get a blue buff, it drops that down to 20, and then she will cast every 2 auto attacks, which is really ideal. Both in terms of her getting her cast off more often and also for stacking up that Incantor trait. Now, I have the Incantor emblem on a Zoe, and even though Zoe is a little bit of an awkward fit, she does have very low mana cost as well. Zoe's mana cost is only 30, so she casts every 3 auto attacks, and that's kind of good because it'll stack up Incantor trait faster. Zoe's ability is also a magic resist shred, so that's not bad either. So I can probably find someone better to put this on in the long run, but she's actually a pretty good target here for the time being. And if I can find another Witchcraft unit, I might be able to play 4 Witchcraft, which also feels like it would be pretty good here. Anyway, this is the second half of the gift round, so I will send something back to Grillo. He's going to take the component item anvil. By the way, there's Ari, the most overpowered unit in this patch, who's in line for the nerf bat in the next patch. Maybe someday we'll stop having patches where 2-cost reroll is the dominant strategy, but so far that has not been the case. Grillo has managed to make the 2-star Cassidon at this point. So both of our boards have kind of spiked a little bit here in the mid game, and the hope is that we can ride that out and continue hopefully maybe being on a little bit of a win streak as we go into kind of stage 4. I would really like to win this round so I can have a full win streak going into the minion stage here. Looks like this person is playing some kind of scholar-based competition, I think. They're playing through Bard as the main carry, which I've never felt is great in this set. Now, maybe there'll be a patch where Bard is really overpowered, but I've always felt Bard is more of a support unit than a carry unit here in set 12, and it looks like we're going to win this one without too much trouble, so that's great. Now, if I can just find, I have 7 Syndras right now, and I do have the duplicator that came in from the prismatic augment that I took last time. By the way, look at this fight. This one's pretty close as well, but Syndra was in a terrible spot, and that 3-star Tristana is going to end up popping her. So in theory, I only need to find one more Syndra in order to have Syndra 3-star. I really would like to hit the Syndra 3-star as quickly as possible and then get back to leveling because I'd really like to play some 4 and 5 cost units on this board. I could definitely try to play another Chrono unit. Like, it wouldn't be bad if I could get, like, I don't know, Camille on this board. Would not be bad just to get Chrono trait in play. I would love to get Morgana for 4 Witchcraft. That would be really nice if I could manage to put that together. And then I also just need more frontline. My frontline is still kind of bad. Now, look what items I end up getting here. I'm going to get a bow and then another bow and then a 3rd bow. I was like, wait, what? I just got dropped 3 bows? What the heck? This is really weird. So anyway, I'm going to continue rolling. Again, I just need one more Syndra, and then I can duplicate for the Syndra 3-star. I have this reroll your shop with all 2 costs. That does not pan out, although I do get a Cassidon from it. There's a Syndra, so now I could just duplicate it, but I was like, but this is a full champion duplicator. I don't know that I necessarily want to use this up on a full champion duplicator when I only need one more. I decided I'd roll a little bit more for it. So I ended up rolling down to 30 here, which may or may not have been the right decision. It's hard to say. I was really hoping I could just hit that last one naturally, and I didn't quite get it. So at this point, I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just burn the duplicator at the start of the next stage because I don't want to spend more econ than this. I really do want to get up to level 7, level 8, and hopefully level 9 before the game is over here. Good news is Syndra still seems to be tearing people apart pretty good. She's doing an awful lot of damage. And the 4 Incantors, you can't see this, but the 4 Incantors is pumping up her ability power something fierce. She's ending these fights with like 200 something AP because she's getting 80 ability power from the 4 Incantors by the time it gets fully stacked by the end of the fights. And then look at this, I have Spellblades here. I don't even check what the rest of the options are. I get Spellblades, and then I do hit the Syndra 3-star, so that was really nice landing that there, because now I was able to preserve my duplicator, which is really good. I will toss in Jax for 2 Chrono. I can replace that with a better unit, but I'll have to wait. What I should have done is I should have grabbed one of the Zillions that I saw in the store earlier. Zillion would have given me Chrono and also would have given me I guess nothing else, but he would have been a better Chrono unit. I do think he would have been a good choice to play. I'm actually going to sell the extra Cassiopeias. I was grabbing them because they did help me hit the Syndra, but I have no intention of trying to make Cassiopeia 3-star. She's unitemized. She's just in here as a trait bot. It's Syndra and Karma who are my main carries. And it looks like Syndra's already gotten, I think she's gotten her 30 casts off so far. So she should be putting 2 rifts on the board when she gets her cast off. Let me just see. I think that she gets an extra 1 off. I'm pretty sure she's gotten up to the 30 casts already. It'll be a while before she gets up to 60 casts to get the additional rift after that. But I mean, yeah, she's kind of cooking people right now, and the Karma's doing a lot of work as well. So can we kill this team before we get reinforced on? No. And then, look at Syndra. Her position is just horrible here. She's completely on the other side of the board. So that's a tough way to lose win streak when we had the team beaten, and then the 3-star Trist and the 3-star Kog'Maw come rushing in. That's a little bit unfortunate there, but it is what it is. It would have been really nice to keep that win streak going, but not quite enough. Now I have 2 out of 3. I had 2 out of 3 cast-ins here, so I'm going to send 1 over to JDP Grillo. He found another Karma, so I was like, perfect. I will take this Karma gift, and then I will use my duplicator on the Karma for instant 2-star Karma. So I had 3-star Syndra, 2-star Karma on stage 4-3. I'm like, this should be pretty good here. Should be pretty good. And you can see I was highlighting the Morgana over there. I was like, I really would like to get a Morgana. Morgana for 4 Witchcraft I think would be really strong because I'm playing several key Witchcraft units, particularly the Nico, but you know, Zoe gets in some extra damage as well. And then I do have Cassiopeia, who is, you know, also Witchcraft plus Incantor. So she's more of a trait bot, but you know, I am applying Witchcraft's debuff to a decent number of units. If I could just find a Morgana somehow, that would be really, really nice. Also, all right, so it's Karma against Gwen. Karma does not win the 1v1 against Gwen, unfortunately. In terms of health in this game, we're in reasonably decent position, but it's a pretty tight lobby. Like, no one's really that far ahead or that far behind, so this is a pretty entertaining game as well. Now, what I really want here on this carousel is this Briar, because Briar has a tier that would be blue buff for Karma, and it would also get me another shapeshifter plus Eldritch frontline. I could replace that Mordekaiser, and somehow this stays to the end. I was like, oh my god, no one wanted the Briar. I mean, I guess she's kind of out of the meta in this patch because just in general, Eldritch is not really played a lot in this patch. But I was like, yes, I will take the Briar, and I'll just replace the Mordekaiser. And now I have an obvious choice on what to play for my next unit in. And oh, by the way, I'm also gonna make the blue buff, make the Giant Slayer. I'm very happy with these items over there on the Karma. But now my next choice in for frontline is pretty obvious. I want to get another shapeshifter, and we'll play 4 shapeshifter. We'll just play shapeshifter frontline. So Nasus would be the best choice here. And then, I mean, I guess I can play Swain if I have to. I wish I had picked up a shapeshifter unit earlier because I could have just played that over the Jax. The Jax is really doing nothing for my board. Really doing nothing. I mean, he gives me Chrono Trait, but that's it. So I would very, very much prefer having another shapeshifter up there, but we'll see. We'll get to level 8 and see what we can find here. This fight's pretty close, and yeah, look at that. I actually thought I was going to lose that, but the Syndra just is absolutely popping people. The Jeweled Gauntlet turns out to be a great item for her to have because she gets tons of ability power. Oh, by the way, and we also now have the cast in 3-star on Grillo's board, so he's starting to get a bit stronger as well. Also has like 8 unused items. Grillo, build something. Anyway, so yeah, the Jeweled Gauntlet allows her damage to crit. So basically the way this works is 4 Incantor gives her ability power. As we said, she can stack up to 80 ability power over the course of the fight. So she gets tons of AP from her trait itself. Then the Spear of Shojin and the Gnasher's Tooth let her get cast off quickly. And the Jeweled Gauntlet allows all that extra AP to crit. So I do think these are really good items. I mean, I'd love to have a Death Cap in here as well because Death Cap does magnify ability power from all sources when you get it with its damage amp. But I don't think it was realistic to get the Death Cap in this game. So I'm pretty happy with what I have here. Syndra gets, once she gets that first cast off, the Gnasher's Tooth, yeah, looks like she has enough attack speed to have permanent uptime on that Gnasher's Tooth. So anyway, between her and Karma, I definitely do enough damage. The big issue is, can I keep my front line alive? Well, this fight's really close. One more cast, Syndra. Oh, that close. Down to one unit with that one, what was it, little scuttle thing that came out of the portal with barely any health left. So clearly, I just need to improve my front line. Like, I have a 2-star Elise, and I have a 2-star what is it, a 2-star Nico up there, but like I don't really have much in the way of tank items. Most of the items I've gotten so far are carry items, and I'm happy with the carry items I have. Like the Syndra items I think are great, and I think the Karma items are quite good too. The blue buff plus red means that she gets off her cast nonstop. She absolutely spam casts, but now I really do need some more frontline here. And look at this, I get a what is it, a Swain drop here, so that's what I was looking for that unit so that I can go ahead and play the 4 shapeshifters, which will help. I was considering playing into 5 Eldritch here, which would also give me additional frontline, but then I decided, I think it's better to play the 4 shapeshifters. All right, we're gonna pull our last component anvil here, and I was like, I could do Bramble Vest, but I think I'd rather have double Steadfast Heart here. All right, there's a Camille, so I'll definitely hold this. I could also opt to play this for Chrono on my board, but Camille's a 5-cost multi-striker, so it's clearly better to go over to Grillo's board. Like I said, I've got the Nami over there. I'm holding the Mordekaiser. I could look to go level 9 and put in Mordekaiser as well, and then that would give me 4 Incantor, 4 Shapeshifter, 5 Eldritch, which I think would not be bad. Just because, as I said, I'm really just trying to get some additional frontline here so that my board can hold up a little bit longer. Nico's holding in there, and I am on 6 Nicos, so if I can hit 3 more, I could have 3-star Nico, which would really help my board out a lot. Look at that. Karma actually did more damage than Syndra in that fight, but the two of them are like really, really close in terms of damage output here. And then I have, all right, so there's Nasus. We'll replace the Swain with Nasus. And then I have reroll your shop with a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 cost unit. I believe that I take this. This person has a 3-star Zillion. Okay, that's kind of interesting. I believe that I purchased this charm. If I remember this correctly. Or do I not? It's usually worthwhile to pick this up just to see what the 5 cost is. Maybe not. I thought that I bought this, though. So I guess I just opted to reroll instead. I'll roll a little bit longer. I should definitely take this because I'll get, if I buy this charm, I get 3 5 costs. Yeah, there we go. And I was like, oh, okay. And then the Morgana pops out. I knew that I was about to get a Morgana here, but I couldn't remember exactly how it happened. Yeah, having 3 4 costs in my shop suddenly become 3 5 costs is really nice. So now I'm pivoting. I was going to go to level 9 and play the 5 Eldritch, but now I'm not going to do that. I'm going to drop the Nami and give up on playing 5 Eldritch, and I'm going to play the Morgana instead, because Morg gives me 4 Witchcraft, and that's going to be pretty nice since I'm playing through a lot of key Witchcraft units on my board here. So now I don't really need these, and I could probably sell the Swain as well. But now I definitely want to get to level 9, and we'll try to do that. So, all right, so something has to come out here. We're going to drop the Nami. As I said, stay at the 3 Eldritch, and now you have 4 Witchcraft in, which is definitely a pretty big jump over just the 2 Witchcraft. Again, if you're curious about what this does, let me just pull up the cheat sheet here again so I can cover specifically what Witchcraft does. Obviously, all the Witchcraft abilities are debuffs of various kinds. Witchcraft 2 is the cursed enemies lose 150 max health. Witchcraft 4 is also become green and heal the lowest health witch for 18% of damage taken. So that's pretty nice. We're starting to get some green enemies up here on the front lines when the witches use their abilities. It's a little hard to see because there's always so much going on in these fights. But yeah, having the Witchcraft definitely helps. And, having just the 4 Shapeshifters helps too. I just need front line to stand up there and tank for the rest of my board. I'm also pretty happy with having double Steadfast Heart on the Nico as well, because she's getting a lot of health from Shapeshifter trait. What she needs then is damage reduction, and she's getting that. All right, definitely some interesting stuff here. I would not mind taking the Morgana just to have 2 out of 3 Morgs on my board. Then I'd be 1 off. That, of course, gets snapped up instantly. There's also like an Arcana emblem here, which I can't use. There's an Eldritch emblem as well. I could go to level 9 and then I'll just put in another Eldritch unit for Eldritch 5. That might not have been the worst play either. But out of these options here, I ended up taking the Witchcraft emblem because I thought, well, maybe I can go to level 9 and play 6 Witchcraft. Like if I could toss like a Fiora on the board, 6 Witchcraft sounds like it would be pretty good here. So that's what I was thinking by grabbing that unit. I was like, I can just go to 9 and play 6 Witchcraft. But there was another play here that I didn't see, and I think that maybe the better option would have been drop the Zoe. Like I've been holding this Zoe on the board the whole game. As you see, I get this gift round from Grillo. I really wanted another tank item here, but look, every single one of these is like a carry item. So I'm going to take the Bloodthirster just because it gives a shield to Nico. I really needed more tank stuff. I really wish I'd had a better tank item there. Anyway, but like I've had this Incantor emblem on Zoe the whole game, and like Zoe is providing me with the 4 Witchcraft. But now that I have the Witchcraft emblem, I could actually drop the Zoe, and I don't need to play this unit anymore. I could just put it on the Incantor emblem on someone else, and I think the best person to put that on probably would have been someone like Zillion. I could have played Zillion, who would have given me Chrono and Preserver trait here. Or alternately, just play the Camille, right? I mean, playing a Camille, granted, Camille would be really bad at stacking up Incantor. She wouldn't get very many casts off. As you see, we knock somebody out of this game. But I have to feel like having a Camille on the board that gives me Chrono trait and has the Incantor emblem would be better than playing the Zoe, who is a 1-cost unit. So that was the biggest mistake I think I made in this game. Is I had just kind of forgotten that the Incantor emblem was still on this 1-cost 2-star Zoe from the beginning of the game. And now that I had the Witchcraft emblem, I did not need to play this unit anymore. So part of the reason I do these videos, I've said this many times, is to look back and see what I can do better. That was definitely something I could have done better. Find a better unit than Zoe to hold this. And like, there's a Zillion in the store right now. Preserver trait and Chrono trait are both team-wide traits. They would both help a lot. So that would have been a nice substitution to make. Anyway, though, my board has been pretty strong. One team is out of the lobby. One team's on 2 health. The biggest problem for us right now is one of these teams has made 10 portal. There it is, actually. I was just highlighting it. Yeah, they took one of the training dummies that had a portal emblem on it. That was their first prismatic, and then they got a +1 portal emblem from their second augment. So they have +2 portal, and that means that you can play 10 portal. They actually did not even have to normally have to get to level 10 to play 10 portal. This is their team, by the way. But they did not have to get to level 10. They only had to get to level 9 because the little training dummy has the portal emblem on it. So yeah, they were able to get 10 portal in on level 9. And 10 portal is one of the 2 prismatic traits in set 12. So this is just like an auto win. Every unit gets a 1500 health shield, and the stuff that comes out of the portal just does insane damage. So I can't beat that board, but here's the good news. Their partner lost. Yeah, it's double up. It's a 2-player game mode. So just because their board was now invincible did not mean that they won the lobby, because their partner was not that strong, and we were able to knock them out. And they are out of the lobby. They actually finished in 3rd place, which is kind of ridiculous for 10 portal, but they needed to preserve health better, and they didn't do a good enough job of that. So anyway, we're at 16 health. This other team's at 1 HP, though, so all we have to do is win 1 round against them, and the game will be over. So I was planning to go to level, as I said, go to level 9 and then play Fiora for 6 Witchcraft. But with them being on 1 HP, I was like, you know what? I don't think the game's going to last that long. I'm actually going to roll down here and try. I didn't have enough gold to get there, so I was like, all right, I'm going to roll here. I'm going to try to find another Morgana. And I do, so I was like, oh my god, okay, 2-star Morg, let's go. So I definitely want to get some more frontline stuff here. We'll put this Ionic Spark on Nasus. Now I'm going to roll for the Nico 3-star. I'm 1 off the Nico 3-star, and maybe I can get a strong charm, or a strong charm here as well. And I do hit it, so okay. And then look at this, Yordle Spirit, 99% odds to dodge attacks. Okay. So I just spiked really hard there. There is a Fiora in my store, but now I'm not going to be able to get to level 9. So yeah, my team spiked really, really hard. So I was like, okay, well, I'll definitely win this round. I had the 3-star Nico, and now I have the 2-star Morgana as well, on top of everything else that I had in this game. Biggest issue, though, is person's running a Preserver board with 3-star Wukong in the front, and it's just taking me a little while to get through the Wukong. Now, I do kill the Wukong. I do kill the entire enemy team, but oh, there's 3-star Cog, 3-star Trist. It's still close, but I couldn't quite kill that board. So we take a double loss. We actually go down to 1 hit point, and it's like, oh wow, we took 16 damage from that? Ugh. That's not good. Well, the big thing to do now is roll for a good charm, and I see this 1 full item held by a unit becomes Radiant. So I was like, okay, Radiant red buff, that sounds pretty good on Karma. We'll definitely take that. So if we lose this round, you know, we can still finish here in 2nd place. But on the other hand, we both thought that our boards matched up better with the other team, if that makes sense. Like, I think that my board matches up better with the 3-star Cog, 3-star Trist board. And Grillo thought that his team matched up better with that Preserver plus Multi-Striker board over there. So let's see how we do against this board. This is another popular 2-cost reroll board. You reroll for Nunu, for Kog'Maw, and Tristana. But it tends to get outscaled in the late game, and that's what you're definitely seeing here, because I shred through this team, and it's not even remotely close. So that's a very easy win. And now we're going to come over here, and it looks like Grillo was wrapping up a pretty easy win as well. So, you know, it got tight there at the end. It definitely got close. But fortunately, we were still able to take the first place finish. Yeah, 4 Incantors, one of the worst team comps in the game. The Incantor Crown, literally the worst augment in the entire game. Statistically, there is nothing worse than taking that augment. But, you know, never tell me the odds, right? So, data is important. You should use data to inform your decisions, but you should never blindly follow data. And I do think that I had a good setup to play Syndra and the 4 Incantors in this game. Yes, there was a lot of luck. I hit the 3-star Syndra very quickly. Yes, I hit the Karma on 2% odds. That was a big deal in this game. But still, we still made it work. And that was the big thing. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this video. Until next time, take care, folks, and I'll see you again soon.